at least you're giving me the respect of looking me in my face. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate from one human to another looking at me in my face. I can appreciate you looking at me in my eyes, because the rest of your fellow officers could not give me that same respect of looking me in my face when I addressed them. I have not addressed anybody disrespectful tonight. I have not yelled any obscenities. I've been nothing but respectful to the utmost degree. All I wanted to know, as a concerned citizen of the beautiful city of Oakland, can you provide me with a valid reason for what took place the other night to that young man for being shot in his back? Can you provide me with a valid reason for that, sir?
DPD hanging out with you this afternoon. We are on the eve of the verdict. Oscar Grant, January 7th, 2009. History was made in terms of people coming out and stepping up and demanding justice. And one of the people who is unnamed until just recently, as far as I was concerned, of course you always had a name, my man Jonathan here. We saw you in the video. You were one of the first people that many people saw around the world that confronted the police. And I never knew who you were. You know, I just remember you doing something that was very bold, reminiscent of the Black Panthers, you know, and, you know, finally we caught up. First of all, your thoughts on how everything has turned out with this Oscar Grant trial and everything around it.
I mean, it's, I guess, interesting to say the least. You know, as far as what they're saying that they're willing to charge the officer mehserle with neglecting to give him a, you know, outright manslaughter charge. You know, and they're dropping it down, I believe, to saying that he could, the max he could get is like was a second-degree murder or one or something like that. And then, so you know, that's I mean, that's unfortunate. I mean, from everything that has taken place, you know, I've spoken with various police officers and, you know, other individuals as well. You know, just having dialogue and communication about it. And I mean, it's very, you know, it's very unfortunate what took place that night. Definitely shouldn't have taken place that night. I still feel very passionate about what took place that night, that was completely out of line and out of order. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's 100% guilty, and I don't think that it was anything involuntary, anything like that, just from some of the latest reports that have come out with various statements that have been heard and said by the various other, you know, resources and police officers who were on duty at the time with mehserle. So just with that coming to light, and the fact that, you know, they're trying to say that he was mistaking his taser gun for his real gun. I mean, the taser gun and the real gun, everybody knows, completely different weight, completely different everything. And as far as what I've been told by police officers, they're taught to unholster, unsafety, and then fire. So how does that turn into involuntary when you know that you're unholstering, you're taking off the safety, it's a completely different weight, and then you're still going to fire?
So. That's a good question. You know, one of the things, you know, for people listening, you'll have to envision. For people watching, you'll see. What caught everybody, including myself, was standing behind the police line. We were forced to stand behind, and then we were moved back. And then I just happened to have a special thing where I could hear. And you were all up in these police officers' face.
Absolutely.
You know, and you was really pushing buttons and basically take us through that. I mean, you confronted them in a way that I think a lot of people hadn't seen.
Yeah.
You know, and definitely didn't expect for somebody so young.
Give me any plausible reason? You can't give me any plausible reason for what took place, sir? No. Nobody can give me a reason. Nobody can give me any plausible reason. I haven't raised my voice. I haven't raised my voice in any way. I haven't been disrespectful. I haven't yelled any obscenities.
Hey, camera guys, back up a little bit. Back up, because you guys have been wanting to protest too right now. Back it up for me. Thank you.
Honestly, all I can say was just, I guess that was just 23 years of just pent up, fed up aggression with what has taken place. with the Oakland Police Department and just with police in general. Prior to what took place with Officer Grant, I had my various interactions with the police officers, and I've had my own sentiments about them, not necessarily a positive sentiment. But yeah, so just being out there and just getting caught up in everything that was taking place, it was just I felt like I had to step up and say something. I didn't feel like anybody was really stepping up to the plate to really, as you say, you were just saying, to really press the issue and to try to get any kind of answer. I mean, obviously I knew that they weren't going to give me the answer that I was looking for, but I still felt that it still needed to be said, and I still felt that it needed to be done. I didn't want to go about doing it in a disrespectful way or in a violent way, because that's not the proper way to address situations. That's not the proper way to take care of things. So I wanted to give the respect to the officers, because before anything, they're human beings just like myself. So I wanted to give that respect to the officers, to look them in the face and to address them by name, and to address them each individually, and to press the issue. And one of the officers, I forget her name, but as I was addressing her and I was asking her the questions of, if she was married, if she possibly had children, how would she feel if she was out on a job and if she came home to discover that her child had been a victim of murder, how would she feel about it? And as I continued to press questions and ask her and interact with her, I could see that she began to well up with tears in her eyes. And as I continued to talk to her, her commanding officer came by, and he took notice to what was taking place, and he abruptly put an end to it and reminded her of her job and of her duty. But my thing was, I wanted to get out there, and I felt that the police officer should have been outraged as well. I understand that they had a job to do. I understand that they were out there to protect and to maintain order. But from my perspective, like I said, before our job, before we wake up and do anything, we're human beings. And I felt that the police officers, regardless of whatever their job title may have been, that they should have been on the other side protesting with us as well. Because deep down, I honestly felt that they felt that what took place was wrong, and I honestly feel that they felt that what took place was completely unnecessary and uncalled for, and it was, like I said, it was just wrong.
Did any of the other ones respond?
There were a few officers. They didn't have the same kind of response as I previously mentioned. Their response was more of one of I could tell that they were getting irritated, and that they were getting to that place where they were almost chomping at the bit, and they couldn't wait to get the signal in from their commanding officer to go ahead and move in. And as soon as they got that call to move in, they wasted no time immediately coming directly at me, since I was,
You was the ringleader.
Yeah, I ended up, being one of the key figures out there, the prominent faces. So they wasted no time moving in on me, and once they got that call, they dragged me on the concrete for like 10-15 feet, popped my right shoulder out of socket. They had their nightsticks in the back of my head. They had their knees in my back, and they took advantage of the opportunity. And so the response from them was I definitely got a few reactions that night out of a few of the officers.
So you got arrested. You were one of the first to be arrested.
I was the first one to get arrested, and I was the first person to get arrested, the first person that threw into the paddy wagon. And they, like I said, they didn't waste any time, and they took full advantage of their opportunity.
First of all, did you get charged? Were the charges dropped, and were you able to follow up? Or do you think that the treatment you got was unfair? I guess you were roughed up.
Definitely. They had charged us with failure to disperse and unlawful assembly, and subsequently everything was dropped, everything was cleared. What they ended up doing, though, they ended up taking everybody's cell phones who was out there that night. If the cell phones looked like they possibly could have been taking taking pictures or recording video, they took the phones and they just disposed of them. Some people didn't even get their phones back, such as myself. They just took the phones. I have no idea what they did with the phones. But all the charges were dropped. Like I said, they had charged us with unlawful assembly and failure to disperse. As far as the treatment, I definitely don't feel that the treatment that I deserved was just. I definitely don't. Like I said, I didn't do anything that was outlandish or disrespectful or anything that was in a negative light. I was very courteous. I was very respectful. And I actually even asked a few of the officers. I addressed them by name and I said, if I'm doing anything illegal, please let me know. And I specifically asked them that because I wanted to make sure that I was doing everything by the book and that I was doing everything appropriately like it should have been done. And at no time throughout the evening of the events that had taken place did any of the officers say, you might want to do this, or you might, you're getting out of line, or anything like that.
Can you provide me with a valid reason for what took place the other night to that young man for being shot in his back? Can you provide me with a valid reason for that, sir?
DPD hanging out with you this afternoon. We are on the eve of the verdict. Oscar Grant, January 7th, 2009. History was made in terms of people coming out and stepping up and demanding justice. And one of the people who was unnamed until just recently, as far as I was concerned, of course you always had a name, my man Jonathan here. We saw you in the video. You were one of the first people that many people saw around the world that confronted the police. And I never knew who you were. I just remember you doing something that was very bold.
At least you're giving me the respect of looking me in my face. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate from one human to another looking at me in my face. I can appreciate you looking at me in my face because the rest of your fellow officers could not give me that same respect of looking me in my face when I addressed them. I have not addressed anybody disrespectful tonight. I have not yelled any obscenities. I've been nothing but respectful to the utmost degree. All I wanted to know, as a concerned citizen of the beautiful city of Oakland,